Hello, hello. Welcome into the August Empowerment Altar Space. We are back for another week ahead collective card pull here, and it's been a busy weekend in all the ways. Not only did we kick things off with that 8/8 Lionsgate portal opening up to that beautiful bold sturgeon full moon in Aquarius that was just last night. I'm recording this on Sunday evening, and we are riding all of those waves still. So we're connecting in with some really strong energies that overall have been very positive and bringing forward opportunities for expansion and up leveling, whether we're talking about connecting in with that 8/8 Lionsgate powerful manifestation energy of alignment with our spiritual sun, the star Sirius, along with the sun in bold, courageous, and playful, creative Leo, opportunities for us to tune in there. And then, of course, the full moon in Aquarius with releasing and shedding and letting go. But there was a beautiful goddess energy on tap with this full moon as well. We just got into it with the full moon empowerment reading this weekend. Oh my goodness, there's been so much. So for anybody who has been following along, we are tuning in to the Mystic Soul Tarot and Oracle this month. So I can't wait to shuffle up here in a moment and see what's coming out for these next 5 days. From Monday through Friday, we have our positions with our intention that each card will hold. Of course, time not being linear. These cards work together throughout the week to weave a story, and we are connecting on a collective basis. So that means take what resonates and leave the rest. There's always someone else there to pick it up. That's how it works with a collective reading. And then if you would like more personal guidance, I invite you to request a complimentary personal card pull that I will record and send to you right here on Marco Polo. So if you're watching this in our Empowerment Sharecast, you know how busy last week was with all the things with Lionsgate, with all of the freebies and goodies I've been sharing. If you didn't get a chance to catch all of those things, just kind of swipe back. If you are seeing this in one of my social media spaces, I am talking about my Empowerment Sharecast over on the free Marco Polo app. It's just my little quiet space tucked away from the noise of social media where I'm able to share with you a little more freely and a little more intimately, where I have some links I've dropped to a workbook that I put together for this month that is my gift to you, our theme of From the Deep to the Leap, with some exercises, journal prompts, a tarot spread. I've also shared some bonus materials from the Seasons of the Witch Lammas Oracle and a Lionsgate beta wave recording that I put together. And all of those things are available. And certainly if you haven't had a chance yet to tune in, this is a perfect time as we move into this week, which I just have a couple of things to share on the astrological weather this week, which we'll get into next. After we finish pulling the cards. So let's just get into it here. It's been a very busy weekend on my end. Thank you all so much for the beautiful birthday wishes. It was so nice to hear from so many people. Really know how to make a gal feel loved. So I really appreciate that. It's been a wonderful birthday weekend, just being with my family, my kids. My oldest is getting ready to go back to college. So unfortunately, a lot of upheaval here and stuff to do to have her ready for next Friday. So it was really good to just be able to have the whole family together and just get out. The weather's been beautiful. So really enjoyed it and appreciate everybody taking time to reach out. So thank you so much. Let's get into it here. I sprayed the Emerald Renewal and Recovery before I got started, but I want to do the Magenta Bridge on the other end for time and self-mastery, but connecting in with that Magenta Ray. We'll see what that brings up. Bringing in a little bit of that beautiful energy on the other side, again, of some really powerful aspects that we've been moving through. So let's shuffle up and see what is coming up for this week, beginning with Monday, which sets the tone for the week ahead. We'll see which tarot energy is coming forward to kick that off. Whoop, that one just wanted to flip right over. Hey, 9 of Cups. We'll take it. The card of wishes and wishes fulfilled. And that's beautiful in that manifestation. We've talked a lot about these practices, whether 𝓚 𝓚 and how that is representative of the harvest and this seasonal celebration, which overlapped beautifully. It ended on the 7th, August 1st through 7th. And then, of course, we've had 7/26 through August 12th. We have this Lion's Gate energy, and it peaked, of course, on 8/8, which again, I get into in the Sharecast, and then also did a very special Lion's Gate message for everyone with me for the Empowerment Pack this month, where we did talk about the connection between llamas and Lion's Gate, which was really beautiful symbolically. So, and also, if anyone did want to tune into the full moon reading, that is still available. You can book that full moon empowerment reading and then receive your post full moon personal card pulls along with the 1-hour video I've already created with a ritual that is available to do anytime between now and the 16th of August, as well as a 6-card spread where we got into all oracle energies. I used all oracle decks, no tarot, for this 1-hour video. So that is still available to anyone that would like to pick that up and have their personal card pulls. And that booking, like all bookings this month, equal an entry into the birthday giveaway for Grow in the Flow, where I will be giving away 5 prizes at the beginning of September after this month. So all bookings in August will be entries into that giveaway. So speaking of wishes fulfilled and all of that abundance coming forward, let's see what Tuesday is bringing in terms of a potential block or challenge this week. Potential block or challenge. 4 of Swords. Yeah, it's trying to get how do you get some rest around here. So much going on. And now as I take a look, I think today is the 10th. So there is some silver lining going on here with these wishes being fulfilled, is Mercury is stationing direct on the 11th. So here, Tuesday's challenge, the 12th, 4 of Swords, that rest and recuperation. And also again, with that air element of the swords. And that's exactly what's been haywire with Mercury retrograde, the thoughts, the ideas, the mind, and then the communication. So, of course, we have a post shadow after retrograde. So that will continue on for a couple of weeks, but it will start to ease up. So we'll talk a little bit about what's coming in here as a potential challenge or a block this week in the swords with that 4 of Swords. So now Wednesday represents a midweek blessing. So let's see what is coming up for a midweek blessing for us. 7 of Cups, choices and flow, because this is our second Cups card of the 3 so far. So we've got water and air, and we have this sense of choosing wisely and having a lot of options, different, diverse options available to us. Challenge is we don't know exactly what's in each cup, what each choice entails, perhaps. And so there is definitely a very intuitive connection going on here too, like connecting within your intuition and your inner knowing, and maybe going for some things. So we'll see, because that's coming in as a blessing midweek. And then Thursday represents how we are growing. How are we growing this week? Continuing to grow through this month and this season. What is coming through? Oh, that one wanted to turn around. Ooh, more cups. King of Cups. Wow, the embodiment of those cups. The water, the flow, the feels, the heart chakra. But very connected, very intuitive. Again, very empathic. Very much in the feels, but balanced. So there isn't an over exuberance of, emotion, or we're not getting completely saturated and drowning in it. In fact, they're riding above, and riding those waves and really staying focused perhaps on what it is that they are nurturing and cultivating to bring forward through their heart space and the heart-centered creations. So we'll see how we're learning into embodying those cups. And that's really beautiful. I've been hearing a lot out and about, different people who I tune into and podcasts and different shares about this upcoming season empaths really getting an opportunity to level up with some strong sense of self and boundaries and healthy flow and execution of those very beautiful and sensitive gifts that can often be sort of out of alignment when it comes to overload, overdrive, and figuring out how to. And it's interesting because last week we had the Seven of Wands here, didn't we? The fire, and she was taking that leap, but she had a lot of hands, a lot of wands, again, were reaching for her. There was a need for boundaries. There was need for, putting up some of those protections. Seven of Cups now, instead of the Seven of Wands, water over fire. And she's got, again, all these hands reaching out and she's reaching back. So there is this beautiful flow and growth that's happening here that we can tune into, that especially I'm getting for empaths and sensitives, really feeling empowered in that way. So we're going to talk about, how those cards are coming together. And then finally, Friday, college move-in day over here. What is coming up for our collective wrap up of the week? So let's see. One coat again. They're flopping right out and turning for me. Oh, we got a double bubble. Oh, wow. We closed out with another 9. So we got the Sun and the 9 of Wands. Now, these are probably 2 of the most positive cards of the tarot, the 9 of Cups and the Sun. And oftentimes it's said, if you have the Sun in your spread, you're good. Like, it's all good, and it really is. This is another Leo card, and the sunflower symbology has been really strong, really reaching and stretching for that sun, and the sun, your own central sun, the solar plexus, and really standing in your power and sense of courage and bravery. I am, really embracing that energy. Even if, now this is really interesting. So, again, beginning and ending with a 9 of Cups, 9 of Wands. Remember I said it was 7 of Wands. Now it's 7 of Cups. This fire and water seems to be, and that makes sense because this is Leo season. It's fiery Leo season, but we still have all that Cancerian influence. So there's a lot of the feelings, the flow, the heart chakra, the relationships, so that makes sense to me. And then also, this is a 9 year, right? 2025. You add up all those digits, reduces down to a 9, which is a number of culmination, graduation. We're almost there. It calls for 9, perseverance, resilience, feeling a little beat up, feeling a little exhausted, feeling a little worn, challenged to rest the mind, challenged to find rest physically, within the body. And yet, the show must go on, right? Perseverance, continuing on. So, we bring these 2 together, and I'm putting this one last because I like that little bookend of 9s, and I just love these energies are really beautiful, which really highlight this fire and water aspect that's coming together. So we will talk about all of that here in just a few moments. Let's finish off with a beautiful Mystic Soul Oracle card pull as a final message, a little punctuation mark on this week of August for our empowerment. Let's see what we have coming up. One card, please. One card for our collective to finish out the messages this week. Ooh, beautiful. Embrace. That's gorgeous. I'm definitely getting a little magenta wink down there. So I love that. We will tune into that message to finish things off. All right, let's get started with a little brief astrological weather, and then we'll roll into these card messages. I'll be right back. All right, let's roll into some energetic weather for this week. Just 2 aspects right at the top of the week that I'm going to share about here. We have on Monday, August 11th, Mercury direct. So Mercury stations direct after being retrograde since July 18th. So anything that has needed your attention will begin to unravel so that you can finally address things. So pay attention to lost messages or hidden information that finally comes to light. Mercury will remain in its shadow phase, as I mentioned, until August 25th. So until this time, we're guided to listen to our inner voice and not get caught up in the voices of the world around us. So again, with the communications. And that's where, again, we'll talk about some of the challenges coming up this week with the swords, the lone swords card that we received for this week in Tuesday's position of a potential blocker challenge. But again, it's all good. It all ends in the sun. So beautiful energy there. And then August 12th, Tuesday, we have Venus conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. So yeah, the water still with all that fire. We've got Venus and Jupiter come together in Cancer for a magical union. So this is bringing a romantic, soft energy that will help to activate our feminine side and will have us feeling in touch with our heart energy. Now, we may feel a deepening sense of compassion and love for all that we care about. And this energy may also activate the caretaker within us, which is allowing us to create a beautiful environment in our homes and for our families. So again, as I look over some of the cards that we received here, I can see where we're really connecting in with this water element, this opening and expanding of the heart chakra, and really connecting in with you and yours. There really is this sense of like the things that matter to you, a deepening sense of compassion and love for all that we care about. And so all that water that came in for this week, including the absolute embodiment of the suit, the King of Cups, is all speaking to that. So we'll talk about that now when we turn toward tuning into our card messages for the week. So let's roll in and see what's coming in with Monday. All right, we are coming in here for Monday with the Mystic Soul Tarot to kick off our messages this week. We have a bonus card. You're not miscounting. There are 6 tarot cards out here because we got a double bubble for Friday. And then we're going to finish things off with an oracle message. So starting here with Monday, we received the beautiful 9 of Cups. Now, it's really nice that we have both the 9 of Cups and the Sun here this week, which is really bringing in a lovely energy in the midst of, definitely there's a lot of water showing up here and a lot of the feels and the flow. And here, this is speaking to contentment, emotional fulfillment, and satisfaction. So the 9 of Cups represents a time of abundance and happiness in your emotional life. So you've reached a point of harmony in your relationships and are experiencing deep emotional satisfaction. This is a good time to indulge a little, treat yourself to something nice. After all the hard work you've endured, you deserve it. Appreciate the joy that surrounds you and savor the sense of fulfillment that can only come from within. So beautiful energy coming in here with this card of wishes and wishes fulfilled. Now, the other thing is there is a lot of cups, which means a lot of emotion, and maybe they're not all content and joyous and overflowing with, all the good feels. And so that means that you could be coming through, a lot of different emotions, or maybe feeling an intensity in emotion or something that's been excessive, because that can be the other side of the 9 of Cups when there's, a dissatisfaction or an emotional imbalance, or there's just a lot, or, those types of things. And so, or overindulging as well. It can literally be about drinking a lot, like overindulging, but also, just energetically when we use those cups to represent the feelings, the emotions, that there's been, maybe we've been really in it. Sometimes if we need a good cry or we're feeling something, it feels good maybe to watch, like a tearjerker movie, or, just to have something that really helps you to really sit in it and wallow in it. It may be time to dry out a little bit. I'm feeling that with the Sun and the Cups. And the best way to do that is to move, to get up, to go outside, maybe a little self-indulgence in terms of treating yourself or doing something for your own self-care, if that's something that's been coming up for you. But just overall, though, it's a very lucky energy because there is a lot of potential here for fulfillment and contentment and satisfaction. So I love that that's kicking things off to culminate with the Sun, so even if, but again, it's like this counterpart with this 9 that came out with the sun is also suggesting a lot, period. Full stop, right? Just a lot of feels, a lot of flow, a lot of love, a lot of heavy, all the things. And so, like I said, we'll talk about that when we get there, but it feels like it's an opportunity to really step into an uplifted place of joy and contentment. Let's go ahead and look at this Lone Swords card coming in for Tuesday's energy. All right, Tuesday is our potential block or challenge, and we have the 4 of Swords coming up. So I mentioned how at this point, Mercury will have just stationed direct. We're still in that post-shadow, but it is bringing in the air element with the thoughts, the mind, and tuning into your own communication versus external communication and how some of that may be a bit skewed. And when we look at this in terms of a potential block or challenge, right? So we talk about the 4 of Swords, that is about rest and recuperation and meditation, taking a break from the chaos of life. Now, we have this over indulgence in a lot of those feels. Here, we're having a hard time resting. So one of the ways that can show up in a 4 of Swords, it suggests a resistance to rest, a refusal to slow down, or difficulty finding inner peace, especially when there's a lot of noise out there. The guidance is saying to tune out the external, to go within and listen to your own wise counsel. And yet it can be difficult to do that, to really find that inner peace when there's so much noise, or to sleep when there's so much noise, to get that rest. So we really want to take care not to overwork oneself or neglect your need for rest and self-care. Oops, sorry. Tight cord here. Rest, the self-care, again, the ways that you can reward yourself or treat yourself, not to resist that, not to look at that as a sign of weakness or selfishness or, any of those things. Prioritize your well-being now. Find ways to quiet your mind and don't feel guilty for taking a much needed break. So again, a breather, a timeout, step outside, get in the sun, feel if you can, obviously if the sun's not shining, it could be, winter, depending on where you are in the world, all the different ways that we could have different limitations, that we have to use this creative out of the box thinking to use our tools and to respond to these either sometimes subtle, sometimes not so subtle cues from the body, that we need a break or that we need to step up the self-care or whatever it is coming up to tell us. Listen closely, go within. So we have that coming in as a potential block or challenge. And again, as we go through these cards, if any of them are really speaking to you or you want to go a little deeper for yourself and you would like a personal card pull this week, please feel free to let me know. If you're here on Marco Polo, you can just quick reply or reach out to me in any way that works for you in the comments. If you're watching on social media, I will record a card pull just for you in the context of maybe some specifics that could be coming up around these collective energies we're navigating this week. Let's take a look at the midweek blessing with Wednesday's card. All right, Wednesday coming in with our midweek blessing, that's 7 of Cups. And again, just making some interesting observations that last week in this same position was the 7 of Wands, which was fire. This is the 7 of Cups. Both of them had a lot of reach out going on, whether it was all the other wands coming at her, she was taking that leap from one side to the next. There was this leap that was happening, which is, of course, tying in with our theme this month, from the deep to the leap. Here, there's this bevy of choices available, all of these different cups to choose from, and everyone reaching out with their options available to us. Again, with the peanut gallery and the external versus going within and choosing from that wise place, things that are popping for me here with this story that's happening. So another 7, like last Wednesday, this time in the cups, in the feels. And the Seven of Cups speaks to choices, illusions, and fantasies. So it represents the need to choose which of your many goals or opportunities to pursue right now. So you may feel some confusion, delusion, or overwhelm as you try to compare your choices. Perhaps you're daydreaming or fantasizing about different paths or desires, but not committing to any of them. Explore your dreams and aspirations, but also ground yourself in reality in order to make practical choices. You can't do it all. Focus on what truly matters rather than getting lost in a sea of possibilities. When in doubt, ask for help. So yeah, again, there's the potential for overwhelm with all the choices, all the abundance, all the cups that are coming in, or just how we're burning the candle potentially at both ends, that we're getting this caution or we're experiencing this challenge to rest. Rest the mind, rest physically, quiet the external noise, and make a choice from that wise space. So very connected to these first two cards is this midweek, whereas this energy of step back. Again, if you need to take a breath, take a beat, go outside, shake it up, change it up, step away. And another thing is, when we're trying to make a soul-centered choice, a lot of times there's, but this, this person's expectation, or this person isn't going to like this, or I can't have this without sacrificing that. And it's about asking yourself, if it weren't for that one holdout, that one thing, what would you do between your choices? And usually, what the soul desires. It's just all of that superfluous external stuff that sometimes makes it very difficult for us to hone in and really get to that point. So I think that clearing out the noise, stepping away, coming back to yourself, getting grounded, taking that breath these are all tools and guides that are coming up to help you to choose wisely from that soul-centered place is what I'm getting there. So beautiful, and a lot of potential, not to be rushed, not to push you into making a choice. Take your time, and take that time for your time, not on others' time, but on your own time. So I feel, that's just kind of a continuation of these messages about potential burnout or potentially getting caught in a spot that will end up, losing that sense of grounded clarity when we make a decision in a direction that's not in total alignment with our soul. Let's take a look now at Thursday for how we are growing. All right, Thursday, midweek blessing, King of Cups, bringing in this mastery, the embodiment of the suit of cups. So that is all the feels, the emotions, right? All that we've been sort of tapping into here. And remember, just with our brief energetic weather this week, that report, we had that energy coming in with Cancer, with the relationships and the feels, and really being in tune with that. So the King of Cups is that emotional mastery, maturity, and intelligence, emotional intelligence. And so the King of Cups, or embodiment of cups, represents taking a calm, empathetic, and wise approach to matters of the heart. You have a strong ability to navigate your emotions and support others in a compassionate and understanding manner. Embrace your emotional intelligence, lead with kindness, and make decisions from a place of emotional stability. So all those choices, right? All those wishes, all this being made from an emotionally mature space, through that stability through emotion, with kindness, with compassion, with empathy, but first to yourself again. So there is this sense of understanding the need for self-care and for decisions coming from within, choices coming from within when it comes to how we're making those choices and what decisions and moves we're making. And so I love, again, how this one with the imagery of, what is blooming here in their hands through intention and through this balanced, emotionally balanced approach. So we're not having overly extreme emotional reactions, choices. And even though, like I say, there's plenty on tap, with all this water in here. So again, just depending on what's coming up on the menu that you have to choose from and where we are from that emotional intelligence, is what we're growing into and learning about, to say that the more it's actually kind and compassionate of me to be honest and be authentic in my communications, in the choices I'm making, in my actions and reactions with others. Because I'm being honest and authentic and true, which gives others permission to do the same, and also eliminates the confusion of projecting and reflecting and deciding what we think the other person would want us to choose, and all that stuff that was getting up in the twistiness of those four swords, where it was difficult for us to hear our own thoughts. Ultimately, that's not going to end well, because it's not sustainable, right? It's not sustainable for us to make choices that are not soul aligned. It will have to eventually be balanced. And so I think we're learning, when we talk about how are we growing, we're learning what works and what doesn't. And that taking that honest, integritous approach, the authenticity from the onset, is what's best. Ultimately, when it talks about making those choices from that soul-centered place. Now, speaking of the soul, let's take a look at the sun energy coming in with a double dip for Friday. All right, Friday, we have a double coming in here. We have the sun, major arcana, and we have the 9 of Wands. I'm really struggling with my cord today. There we go. All right, so we have the sun, major arcana 19, and the 9 of Wands. So it's a 9 and a 10 energy, right? 19, 1 and 9 is 10. 9 is almost there. Persevere. Be resilient, because you're almost finished. She's stopping. She's centering herself. She's catching her breath. She's taking a beat, and she's feeling maybe a little exhausted and a little worn from everything that she's been traversing through. But ultimately, there's this beautiful, bright, bold message on the horizon with the sun coming in. And so the sun is the vitality, the warmth, the exuberance, the joy, the success. And it's just right there, right? We're almost there. This is an image that's showing us an individual who's soaking up the bright sun, whose vibrant rays symbolize life force energy, optimism, and bliss. So the sun indicates a period of happiness, warmth, and abundance heading your way. So it's almost like this ought to be here, because it's like we're almost there. We're getting there, right? We're approaching. Hang on, persevere, stay resilient, because it's almost there. So we have this opportunity to fully inhabit the present moment and celebrate your achievements. Tap into your inner radiance. Embrace optimism and enjoy the simple pleasures that life has to offer today. Now, that 9 of Wands is resilience, perseverance, determination. 9 of Wands represents reaching a point of resilience and being ready to overcome the final obstacles before reaching your goals. Trust in your ability to overcome adversity. Stay committed to your path and draw upon your past experiences to navigate through the present challenges. As tough and exhausting as the difficulties might feel, keep pushing forward. Yeah. So it's perfect, because yes, there's a tiredness here. There's a sense of just really having been through the ringer, whether we're just talking energetically, emotionally, physically. Like I said, I know I have a very busy week ahead of me of preparing to get my oldest child back off to college. There's just a lot of all the little details and things that need to be tended to, and laundry and packing and organizing and planning and, all the things. And so I definitely know how so far this is coming in for me this week. And I think that it's just, again, it doesn't always have to be some big flashy thing. It really can just be, often is, in the day to day, just kind of moving through the motions. I know in a lot of places, kids are preparing to go back to school, or schedules are changing, or maybe like vacations are winding down, or we're sort of just on that that brink of, of gears shifting. And oftentimes, sometimes even a getaway, a holiday, a vacation, you ever hear, needing a vacation from your vacation, but sometimes, especially if it's oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. This cord is really being a troublemaker tonight. And apparently I'm really grabbing onto it. Let me see if I can just tuck some things up here. A vacation from your vacation, when maybe it was a very active vacation and there was a lot of physical, sightseeing and movement and activity, that, there's a tiredness, like a literal physical tiredness, but also, emotional, spiritual, energetic tiredness that some people could be experiencing as well. So again, persevere, be resilient. I see a lot of sun beaming on both of these cards that are finishing off our week. So like, we're almost there. Keep going. Don't give up, but also take time for yourself. It's okay to stop and take a break, take a water break, take a breath, all the things, in order to step into the new, because it's very bright, it's very bold, wishes coming true, and beautiful abundance and blessings just there. So let's finish things off with our oracle card of embrace. All right, our final message for our week ahead is coming from the Mystic Soul Oracle, and we have this beautiful card of embrace, and it really feels connected into that magenta bridge of time and self-mastery that I brought into the space as we tuned in and pulled these cards. And as I'm just looking here at the Oracle's message, really feels appropriate to round out what was coming through all of the water, the cups, the feels, the emotions of all kinds, the choices of all kinds, the spectrum that we may be experiencing energetically, emotionally, physically. This card is about welcoming life's experiences, both joys and sorrows, with open arms and an open heart. It encourages acceptance, surrender, and unconditional love for oneself and others. Open your arms to life's mysteries, welcome the unknown, and you'll find solace in the embrace of the universe. And the affirmation, I embrace the journey of life fully, finding beauty in every moment and allowing love to flow freely within and around me. So yeah, we're embracing all of it, because every bit of it, including those extremes in both directions, are all a part of the wholeness of the journey and the experience and the contrast that we came here to experience. So a beautiful card to punctuate the energies. Like I said, I'm feeling some of that magenta ray that you can connect into as a bridge between where you are now and where you wish to be, where you are endeavoring to be, where you are persevering and remaining resilient to go. And this is something that is all a part of our intuitive messages this month, from the deep to the leap, moving through the transformation process, the metamorphosis. So embrace every stage, every leg of that journey, because it is all part and parcel of the completion, the wholeness that is the world at the end. So feeling that coming in this week. So I hope that you're finding messages here to resonate, and that you, if you have a desire to have a personal card pull this week, anything specific you'd like to look at, please feel free to reach out. I'm going to be keeping on over here. We just had a very busy week with all of the readings and energies and messages. So we're just kind of riding out those waves with those items. And then, of course, continue to be ample opportunities for you and I to work together more comprehensively this month. We have the Chiron retrograde reading, which is a very special seasonal reading. And that is currently available, and one that really does help with getting at some of these emotional layers and the wounds that are actually those portals of power. So another beautiful example of this metamorphosis. So if there's something that speaks to you and you would like to connect, please feel free to reach out. Check out the booking link that's here or in the caption below this video. And remember, every booking is an entry into the birthday giveaway this month. So thank you so much again for being here and celebrating. I appreciate you, and I'm sending you much love and many blessings. We'll talk soon.